Hey guys, Jick here. Today, I wanted to cover a topic that's a little bit closer to my heart than some of the other videos I've done on this channel so far. And it came about because of the thing that a lot of things come about nowadays, which is because of Twitter. So here I am on a Saturday afternoon, just, scrolling, when I come across this tweet made by the fantastic Mr. Method. And they put it out, hey, this is a social experiment. Would you date someone who is trans? And I saw that. And I was like, oof, oh no, oh no, oh no. So I looked a little bit into his profile a little bit before scrolling down the things, and he seems that he's just a young guy who is a little bit in love, is trying to get some support, and they're crushing on someone, like you can see right here, that they're crushing on someone who's a part of the trans community, which is cute and everything like that. But holy shit, after making that post, it just blew up. It just absolutely blew up, and there was in total 11 different types of takes that have popped on off from this whole circumstance. And I just thought, for the health and the well-being of the community, that we should go through it all, discuss it, and at the end I'll give you my take on it, and we'll go from there. Alright, so let's get into this on the 11 different types of takes that happened for this entire situation. Okay? So the first group of takes that I came across was a group of trans community members that felt that the whole situation was tricky. They have no ill will against those that feel unattracted to the members of the trans community, but they have some sort of middle ground understanding of attractiveness of that. A perfect example of this would be Mr. Venice Springs. They said, as a trans dude, I don't really see any issue about folks who don't find us attractive. It's not a big deal to me. Mostly find that cis women are attractive. Plus, even my own body can be a major turnoff, and it's hard to deal with it. So being reminded of trans stuff can bring on dysphoria. So it's tricky, which I completely get. I know a couple members of the trans community that bringing up the whole trans part then automatically just brings up dysphoria. They just want to be known as man or woman, not as trans man, trans woman. So I can definitely see where Venice is coming from. The next one here we have is from CY Vice, aka 7 Days, CY Naps. They're all like, yes, although I don't think there's anything wrong with people who wouldn't. Stuff like that. And then we have another one from Marley. Marley's all hey, yeah, I'm a trans dude, and I think it's fine that some people have a repulsion towards certain genitals, thus making it hard to date certain trans people who are pre-op or don't want surgery at all. Although saying it is a preference is a wrong wording, IMO. I have preference too, and they go into later on a big long tweet thing about I have preference to red hair, stuff like that. But essentially, they're going on to that they believe that the preference is the wrong wording for it, but they understand where the repulsion of different genitalia is. That is the first group. The next group is probably what the original authors was intending to find. People who are just absolutely supportive of the trans community and want to date them 100%. Stuff Habitual Tiger is all yes, as a trans man is a man. And as far as I'm concerned, I do not have any strong genital, I do have strong genital preferences, but that's what our strap-ons are for. They are things for a reason. That was their take on this. And there were so many of these positive things, such as from Mr. Tibblewoo. Tibblewoo. I like guys, but if you're biologically a guy or identify a guy as a guy and have a penis, I do want a penis involved, that is just my preference, and you're cool and I like you, then I'll date you, yeah. There were quite a few of these, just hey, if you're a guy and I like guys and you identify as a guy, then why not, right? Why not? The next group of people were the middle grounds, the either indifferent or not enough information to make a judgment kind of people. We have Adam here, who's all I don't know, trans doesn't really change much for me, and as long as you're a good person, I don't see why I wouldn't. So they are hitting on Basically that trans isn't enough of a qualifier for them to eliminate somebody as a partner. They need more information. We got one from Dragonol, who's all like, yo, it just depends on personality. The next take was one I was not actually expecting to find on here. It didn't even cross in my mind that this would be a possibility of a take to occur. But we have a group of people that responded that kind of in the response of they were so concerned, people from the trans community that were so concerned about their identity as a trans member that they could not project that somebody outside that community would be able to empathize with their experiences enough to properly date. For a perfect example, Fatfree42 says, I think I'm only willing to date trans people. Cis people are cool and all, but since I'm trans, I think I would feel a lot more out of place than anything with someone who identifies with their gender as they were born with. I would rather date someone who is like me and understands my struggles. This was an interesting take for me. I was not expecting it, but it's very interesting to hear of that perspective. The next round of people that I found on this trend were people that did not want to date trans people, but they supported their existence in the community. And we'll get on to some conflict that happened with that later. But there was a pretty significant group of people, maybe about 10 to 15% that I ran into, that they did not want to date, but they supported the community. For example, Mr. Toon Oshkan was like, I agree with this, I fully support trans people, but they're just not my thing. Then we had James. Personally, no, but I respect people who are trans. Basically, we have a group of people that do not wish to date trans members for whatever reasons, but they support the idea that trans people should be able to exist in society and be a part of like the modern era of culture, stuff like that. From there, the next group of people that were very vocal and definitely felt that they need to speak up on this issue were people from the trans community that felt that the term of being trans to identify the worthiness of to be dated or not to be dated was dehumanizing. So perfect example from Thorny is, as someone who's trans, I am allowed to say it's really weird and it's almost dehumanizing to be discussed like this. Like dog, I just want to exist without it being the topic of debate 24/7, please. And following down through that trend, many others were referencing this, like reflecting this opinion. We got King Chimera saying, you don't get to decide what's dehumanizing to us. It's not okay just to ask, would you date a minority? Put in anything in that parentheses, right? And it didn't take long to find another fairly large trend on this topic. Coming right out from Biblically A. Can y'all stop talking about trans people like this? I'm a trans person, and this whole thing of sitting here and asking people if they think are worthy of our love is actually really dehumanizing. It is not transphobic not to date a trans person, but it is hurtful for sure, but not transphobic. So these people are speaking up, being like, hey, this entire topic is just like making this judgment on whether we're dateable or undateable over just one factor of us is really dehumanizing. Following up from that, the next group takes it another step further, okay? That group is discussing that, hey, this is not okay and we don't feel that it's right for you guys discussing like this. The next group is like more volatile than that. They're just basically slamming the situation. So Nessie made herself a post about being a trans girl and being okay, with the kind of situation and trying things. One of the previous group things. It gets then followed up by Incubat, who's like, I'm sad that you've been convinced by the cisets that their transphobia is at all valid. And these popped up every once in a while, that this entire discussion was a very cishet transphobic discussion on whether we could judge that whether somebody's dateable based on being trans. So that was those takes on that regard. The next group goes even further from that. These takes were ones of wounding, of that their previous experiences makes them feel that they have to stay within their community, not out of dysphoria, but out of faith and out of previous experiences, from spider to bites. Yes, and this trend is making me lose faith in cis people, aka this discussion is making me lose faith in the dateability of cis people, stuff like that. Then we have, for the next group, then we have the equally toxic response from the cisgendered variety, such as from oblivious, no, because I want children and my partner to have female anatomy, stuff like that. Another example, which I've included them in this because it felt more defensive, the last part, than the context. They respond, no, I wouldn't. I'm attracted to cis women. And no, this doesn't mean I'm transphobic, as I'm fully supported every single part of the LGBTQ community. I put him in this part because just the way it's written, it just sounds more like a defense than an actual support. So we got these responses that were more aggressive no's than the previous ones. And then the final group, and honestly probably the best group, were the memers. Like just the absolute memers. The ones that just like slid on in there and they're just like, hey, this is a very volatile and this is a very like intense topic. Let's just meme a little. Such as Pupperino, who dropped, to anyone that says no, I will unseason your chicken. I saw that. I was just like, dude, you know exactly, or dudette, you know exactly what to do in this situation, stuff like that. And then followed right up from Demon Girls again. They replied, sexy people always seem to be from this country. I wonder why. As they post the trans flag. And replied right up from it was from Quito. Is this the Transylvania flag? And I'm just like, dude, that is legit perfect. Like, good job, guys. Good job for taking something that was so heated and just bringing some laughs in there. Hell yeah. Okay? That was fucking great. So, after going through all those takes, what is my perspective? Well, to be honest with you, it's changed over the years. It honestly has changed over the years. And let me tell you a story why. So, I am very much cis. I've been very comfortable with my gender ever since I've been a young kid. And honestly, whole parts of my personality are built upon the feelings of my own masculinity and stuff like that. I was in a relationship at the time for about like 5 years with a cis female, and we were both very, very comfortable with that kind of situation, or so I thought. After being together for about 5 years, I started getting more involved with the furry fandom. And on the side, like in my own private life, it's hitting away from my partner and everything like that. I would look at homosexual pornography and all that kind of stuff, even though I was in a very much heterosexual relationship, stuff like that. And eventually, I became comfortable enough in that 5-year relationship to talk to her about it, stuff like that. And she was actually very accepting of it, and like we discussed a whole bunch of things to a voodoo in the bedroom, stuff like that. But in long story short, she was very accepting of it. But because she was accepting of it, it gave her room to grow. Because she now knew that I was bisexual and therefore would be willing to be in a relationship with a male, stuff like that, she came out as trans. Okay? She came out to trans to me over the phone when I was like 300 kilometers away, like super far away. And to be honest, it was very hard. It was very stressful, and it was very, it wasn't awkward, it was just a very shattering of our current relationship, stuff like that. And it took me a while to think, and like there was some like depression, there was some sadness mixed into this, there was some anxiety, the confusion, a whole bunch of stuff that was rushing through my mind. And eventually, I came to a conclusion, because this was kind of like a should I break up with them situation, or should I continue the relationship with them situation. And I came to the conclusion that I love this person a lot. Like, I love them so much. And what was causing me this anxiety, what was causing me this confusion, what was causing me all this turmoil was that I was feeling like I was losing them. Okay? It wasn't that they were being trans that was distressing me. It was that because they were transitioning or like coming out of trans, I thought I was going to lose them as my partner and as everything I loved and stuff like that. So we had a talk about them, and they reinforced with me that no, they're still going to be them. They're going to develop, and like they're going through these feelings and changes, stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah, I'm there for you. Let's go through this journey, and let's do this. And we stayed together for like another 4 years after that. And there was lots of goods, there was lots of bads, just like any other relationship. But it was, a transitionary point, and I'm still glad that they were able to come out to me about that kind of stuff. And he's gone off, and he's doing his own thing now. I'm going off, I'm doing my own thing. But in all honesty, it was an interesting turning point that actually made the relationship stronger over time. So, should you date a trans person, I guess, is the real question that you all came here to have answered, right? Well, here's the thing. Here's the goddamn thing, okay? If you, as a person, are judging another person by one thing, whether that is their eye color, their disability, their tallness, their religion, what they speak, stuff like that. If you judge anybody in this world off of just one thing, you're missing out on the whole person. You can never be able to make a judgment on a person on one factor, because a person is just so much more complicated than one single thing. So honestly, guys, if you came into this video and you thought that the answer to that question was yes or no, then you have some growing to do. The answer to this is asterisk, depends on the person. Straight up, it depends on the person. They could be the most fantastic person you've ever met, or they could be the most toxic piece of shit you've ever met, and everything in between. And you got to find out who that person is and what they are on the inside, okay? And with that, I hope you guys have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next video. Okay? Bye!